Hi fams, welcome to another sewing tutorial on olives. In this video we will be learning how to draft and sew a princess dart bustier, so please keep on watching if this is why you clicked on this video. Alright, so if your measurements are right, your front length should be longer than your back length. So we are going to start by drafting the front pattern and then we'll move on to the back pattern. Okay, so this is my front body's length, which is the half length as well as the shoulder to waist, and I've marked 1 inch down from the edge of the paper, which will serve as the starting line, and the length of this bodice is 18. I added half an inch for joining allowance because this will be joined to a skirt. Okay, so the front length is 18. So for the amount of paper or measurement you need, divide your round bust into 4 and then add extra 3 inches allowance. That will be enough for your drafting, including your allowance of 2 inches. Okay, next, input all your vertical measurement. That's from your shoulder to chest, shoulder to nipple, shoulder to under bust, and then you already have your half length. Now for your shoulder to chest, divide your whole bust into 6 and add extra 1.5 to that measurement. After that, add extra 1 inch for shoulder slope. So here is the center front, the shoulder line as well as the starting line, the chest line, nipple line, under bust, and the half length or your waist. Okay, now we are going to make use of our across back measurement. The one I'm working with is 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. I will be adding a sleeve to this bodice, so I'll add extra half an inch. That will be 8 inches. So literally divide your across back into 2, add extra half an inch if you'll be adding a sleeve to whatever you are working with. Okay, so I'll mark that and also mark the same thing on the chest line. Put that to a straight line. Now from here we are going to take 1 inch shoulder slope. For the neck width, we'll take the standard width of 3 by 3. Now you can alterate this neckline to whatever neckline you are working with. Okay, connect your shoulder slope as well as your neckline. Next, measure from the shoulder slope down to the chest line. Find the midpoint. Go in by 0.75. That is for the front. For the back, if you are doing this, use half an inch. So connect it down like this, and on your chest line, measure quarter of your bust right on the chest line. Go ahead and connect them together. While drafting the back, repeat the same process, just that the neckline of the back will be higher. Add half an inch joining allowance to the shoulder. Divide your nipple to nipple into 2. What I'm working with is 8 inches, so I'm going to divide that into 2, which is 4 inches. Now place this from the center of your paper like this. mark it on the waistline, the underbust, and also the nipple line. So connect this with a straight line. On each side of the line, mark 1 inch. Mark the same thing on the underbust and connect them to a straight line. Now with a sharp curve, connect the underbust to the nipple line. Now from here, go up by 1 inch. Make sure it is the same 4 inches from the center. So this is the 1 inch right here from the nipple line. We do have our mid armhole here. So with a curve, connect from the 1 inch to the midpoint of your armhole. Afterwards, connect with a curve again by connecting these points like this. So we are going to cut off this dart. On the armhole, take half an inch dart on both sides of the line, just like this. Connect each of them to the 1 inch point. You will also cut off this part. We need to replace the 1 inch that we've taken off from the main armhole. Replace that 1 inch on the chest line. Extend this line up. Go up by 1 inch from the armhole line like this. Reconnect that point to the chest line. I have a little dart intake here, about 1/4 of an inch. So if you do have the same thing, replace it on the chest line so you do not have any shortage. Okay, so reconnect that, just blend it to the armhole. And you can also do this before connecting the armhole. Okay, now on the underbust, take 1/4 of your underbust. Replace the dart intake of 2 inches. On the waistline, repeat the same thing, 1/4 of your waist. Replace the 2 inches dart intake as well. Now go ahead and connect all the points together. So that is it for the front for now. We'll go ahead and move on to the back. I've gone ahead to draft all of this as we did for the front. That the back neckline is higher, about 1 inch from the starting line. I also added zipper allowance of 1.5. Okay, so away from the zipper allowance, that is where all measurements will be taken. The back length is 16. I also added half an inch for joining allowance. So literally the back is shorter than the front by 2 inches for this client. Find the midpoint of this line. Also go in by half an inch. Connect from the shoulder slope to that half an inch. Measure 1/4 of your bust on the chest line. That's away from the zipper line, okay? and go ahead and connect them together. Also add half inch to the shoulder. On the waistline, measure half of your bust span or nipple to nipple. Measure the same thing on your chest line. Go down by 1 inch from the chest line. Make sure it's the same 4 inches and connect it with a straight line. On the waistline, measure half an inch on both sides and connect each of these dart legs to the 1 inch point. As usual, we are going to reduce the bulge from the center back. Okay, so from the center back, go in by 0.75. You may want to use half inch as well. Connect this to almost the neckline of the center back. This now serves as a new center back. So from there, measure your zipper allowance and connect them together. This will affect the measurements on the chest line, so remark quarter of your bust from the new center back. Also mark quarter of your waist from the new center back. Replace your dart intake of 1 inch and connect them together. This is the new zip allowance, and we'll be taking this part off. You may want to keep your back as simple as this, but if you want the princess line, find the half point of your armhole like we did and connect it to the dart, just like I'm doing. And then just take care of any sharp point around that part. Add your 2 inches allowance to the side. And that will be all for your back. Now we are going to go back to the front because the sides will not align. You want to keep the princess seam line, that means you have to cut off the dart and cut through the armhole. Okay, and whilst cutting with the fabric, you need to add half an inch round to be able to join them together. Okay, so the side front and the side back obviously are not the same, as you can see, because of the length. Now we need to introduce an underarm dart to get rid of the excess on the front, the side of the front. So from your nipple line, go down by the excess you have. Mine is 2 inches, so I'm going to mark that 2 inches from the nipple line. Connect this point to this, just like I'm doing, and that is the dart intake. So we will be closing that dart, and to be able to close it easily, we need to slash this center line. So you do this and stop right at the nipple line, and this will give you ease to be able to close the dart. So pick one side of the dart, that's the dart leg, like this, and then fold it to meet the other dart leg on the nipple line. After closing the dart, there will be a shortage, so connect from the nipple point to the chest line just to blend them together. Also use your tape to tape this dart down just to keep it closed, right? And that is all. Then you can add your side seam allowance. So I'll go ahead and cut everything out. This is how I draft Princess That Bustier, and everyday things change and we learn new things. So in case I learn anything concerning Princess That Bustier, I will share this tutorial again that will be detailed. Around the bust area of the side pattern, if you have any pointed edge, blend it with your curve so that when you sew it, you don't tend to have any pointed bust. Okay, just blend it together so that everything will just flow. All right. After placing the patterns on the fabric, you need to add half an inch around these parts, which will serve as joining allowance. Okay, so you do this on the back as well if you have princess that at your back. Okay, please take note that the allowance is on only this part. We've added all other allowance to the armhole, side seam allowance and joining allowance, so you do not need any allowance. I also added allowance around the neckline because I'll be adding a collar to the neck. Okay, notch the under bust, the nipple line and also the chest line. This will help you whilst joining these parts together. Okay, pin each of them together with the help of the notches, underbust to underbust, nipple to nipple and the chest line to the chest line. Okay, then the rest you just have to manipulate them to make sure they are all equal. So you stitch with the half an inch like this, and afterwards you repeat the same process to the other side as well as the back. Now every machine has calibrations and each of them defines a width, right? So locate the half inch, align the edge of your piece of work along that half inch line. So go ahead and stitch, and when you get to the underbust, lower your needle, raise your foot, pivot to the half an inch again. Make sure the half an inch always aligns with the edge. Lower your foot back and continue to stitch to the end. This is how it looks. You can also decide to pad before you stitch, but I will be adding bra cap to the dress, so that is why I did not pad it. Now we need to iron it easily because it's not a straight line, right? So re-notch the underbust well and notch around the curve part. And to iron, I have a bust ham that I made on this channel. If you love to improvise like me, the link is in the description box. Check it out. So first, iron these parts flat because they are not curved. All right, and go ahead and place the curved part on the bust ham, iron and You are done. It's as easy as that when you use the pasta ham. Okay. If you also tend to have any excess around the armhole, do well to trim it off. I hope you've learned something from this video. If yes, please give this video a thumbs up, share to a friend who may also like to learn, turn on your post notification bell so anytime I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Also ask any question on this video in the comment section. Please subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in the next one.